I see Leah's here, Julia's here. I see people popping in. Katie's here. What is up, Tonal
Here.
fam? So good to have everyone in the house tonight. Ash, we're gonna give people a few minutes to join our party here, but how you doing? How's it going? What you been up
Hey.
to?
Well, it's so nice to see you again. I feel like we were a lot of the folks that actually shared us in the house. A lot of
Oh,
us in the
Sharon.
chat right now. I feel like the last time I saw you was when I saw them, which
Yeah.
was the Tonal Training Lab. So
Yeah.
nice to be back. Speaking of when we were in the Tonal Training Lab, which some of you actually got a sneak peek of this program because we tested some of the workouts in
I
my
was
class.
Uh, yeah, I was thinking about that as we were prepping for tonight's call. I was reminiscing as I was looking at the programming again and reminiscing about like working with you, being in the tonal training lab, testing things. It's guys, it's like the best part of my job is to just like sit down with these coaches one on one and just bring our brains together and be creating this stuff and programming for you in real time, like writing it down, trying it out, writing it down, testing it out, and just going back and forth with them. So, yeah, it was such a fun time being with you in the tonal training lab, and while we were crafting this for everybody. So yeah, this is bringing me back.
Yes. Hi, Joy. Rachel's here. So many names that I
I
love.
know.
So many who have messaged and been like, "Are you guys going to do another one?" I was like, "We can't tell, but yeah, yes." Wait,
I love that Katie called Rachel the Bulgarian split squat queen. She is the Bulgarian split squat queen. I have never
I
witnessed it with my eyes before, and in that moment, I was like, that girl, Rachel,
I turned around.
forever.
I was like, "I'm sorry. Is that the number that I'm seeing on the screen right now?"
Is your tonal broken?
Yeah. Anytime my tonal tells me it's time to go up, I'm like, "Nope, we're good." Sometimes I'll just pop it back down.
Rachel, I will never be able to do Bulgarian split squats without thinking about you ever again. It's goals. It's goals.
Love it.
Amazing. Well, Ash, it's so good to see you, and it's so good to have our tonal family in the house. We are here to talk all things everyday athlete too. Woo, woo, woo. It is back and it is better than ever. And yeah, we couldn't quite spill the beans back then when we were in the tonal training lab, but um,
Oh, I spilled them like all over the place, spilled
it's
them.
great. So
But
we're
again,
just
we were in person, so it was like a safe space,
it was
and
and it was
everybody
it's
kept
so hard to keep a good secret when it's that good and juicy.
too close.
I
So
know. Amazing. Well, for those of you that are joining us tonight, we are going to talk all things Everyday Athlete 2. This program, the follow up to Everyday Athlete 1, will be launching on your trainers on April 4th. So, very shortly. And then right after that, we're going to have a challenge with Coach Ash herself, and that is going to start on April 7th. So mark your calendars. The program is going to drop on the 4th, and the challenge will begin promptly thereafter on April 7th. We're going to talk all things program tonight. We're going to talk all things challenge, and really dive into what this program's all about, why we brought it back for a second time, and let's dive in, Ash. So starting with the basics of the program again,
yep.
because everybody wants to know the deets. So give me the high level deets, like what level is this? How many days are we working out? How long are these workouts? What are the splits? Just give me the basics, and then we'll dive in deeper as we get going tonight.
Yeah, so we kept things pretty consistent across the board when it came to the type of program, the goal of the program, how long we are working, how much we are working. And Leah, I know you were like dying for the splits, and I was like, they're coming. So listen, it's a Get Lean program, and that was again the initial idea of Everyday Athlete 1. So we stayed consistent here. But you'll know that I'm always going to put an emphasis on keeping the muscle that we've built, and we'll talk more about that. Adding a bit of performance if performance is something that we want. Otherwise, it can just be a way for us to get like our heart rate up and get a little bit of metabolic work. So it's intermediate. I know many of you said last year that Everyday Athlete 1 it felt a bit advanced. So we'll call it intermediate plus. But the thing that I always say is, I mean, obviously this is very much like it falls within the intermediate advanced. But it becomes more advanced, like with the weight that you're lifting. If you need a little bit more time to rest, you can pause it, those kinds of things. So I never want anyone to feel discouraged. There's going to be a variety of different approaches that we bring to the lift. So changing from how many reps you're doing to time. So it really does kind of help everyone, I like to say. And that's kind of the idea of being the everyday athlete. So intermediate, we're going 4x4. So we're in 4 days a week for 4 weeks. Y'all know the deal. And then I really wanted to keep these workouts accessible in the sense of timing, because I also know that I like my workouts to be long enough that I feel really good. But anytime we start getting into like the 50s, high 50s, we know that there are some workouts that go over an hour sometimes. So I really wanted to make sure that we stayed within that 40 to 50 range. Obviously, in the last week, when we really start to add some volume, some more reps, some more sets, you might see some higher times, but I think it's pretty approachable. The big thing is that every day is going to be a full body day. I know Jenna has said this in the past. I have said this in the past. I love a split program. I do. I love days where it's like, my arms are tired. Great. It's leg day. My legs are tired. Perfect. It's upper body day. But a Get Lean program, you have to remember you need the full body days, because if not, you're not actually getting that metabolic response that you want. And also mostly because you need more rest if you're doing consistent, like upper body, upper body, upper body. So by doing full body days, we're able to really like dig in between blocks, which is kind of what we want. So we'll talk more about that once we dive in.
Yeah, and I love, our approach to full body is not just, we're just doing a bunch of random muscle groups. Like it's so specific and strategic. Like, yes, we might work chest on the next day and back on the day after. So you're always working opposing muscle groups from day to day. So you're never seeing those similar muscle groups hit repeatedly every day or on back-to-back days. It's incredibly systematic the way that we break up our movement patterns and our muscle groups and our focuses from day to day. So while it might be full body, it is incredibly strategic the way that it is split up within those full body days. So amazing.
Before I go further, sorry, I just saw Julia ask. It is smart linear, so I'm doing all the
Yes.
work with you. I'll just say that now. So it's not like strength by intensity, which was more of our custom. I'm with you the whole time through thick and thin.
Yeah. And if you don't know what those terms mean, our smart linear programs are that live experience where the coach is with you, sweating it out with you, going through every rep, every moment with you, and experiencing it with you side by side. Where we have our classic programs, those are like she mentioned strength by intensity, where it's more of that personal training experience where they're just guiding you, with their motivation and their voice. But Ash is going to be with you, sweating it out all the time. So she's been in the trenches. All right. So Ash,
Yep.
tell me, what does it mean to be an everyday athlete? Do I need to be an athlete to do this program? What does that term mean to you?
Yep. I was thinking about this before we started, and the one moment that I came back to, we were in the training lab. I was talking to Katie, I was talking to Leah, some of the girls were there, and I was joking that I was like, I'm going to get up on my soapbox this program, and I'm going to just say the big things, like we have to do the hard things. And I think to me, that just is the reality of the everyday athlete. So like you have to choose your hard. And as athletes, whether that's a hard run, a hard cycle. Maybe you're going through, a team sport. You have to have hard conversations with your team. Whether you're a mom, we've seen Devlin run. Like you have to be quick on your feet. You have to be ready to like do those things. Like just in general, the athlete is whatever you want to make it. And that's really what I wanted this program consistently, like number one to number two, maybe even past, is always to be like, what are you training for? Choose your hard and let's work towards something, and let's like feel a little bit stronger. So without going in too deep, that's really what it's about for me.
Yeah, I love that. And I don't want anybody to hear everyday athlete and think like I've got to be some kind of performance athlete to benefit from this program or take this program. Like we say it all the time, that you're training for the sport of life.
Yeah.
And whatever that sport is for you, whether it is, preparing for a 5K, whether it is being a mom, whether it is, just the rigors of your everyday life. Maybe your occupation is very physically demanding. Maybe your life just demands that. Life demands, as you said, some level of hard. from all of us, and it looks different. And I love this program and the way that we approach performance training, because it's performance for everyday life, and it's just meant to build that longevity and that resilience that carries you through life so that you can live pain-free and feel good moving through your everyday life, whatever that looks like for you. And I know we talked about it when we were together, like when you're kids, you're in recess and you're running around and you're just chasing your friends and you're playing and you're climbing on the playground. And as we get older, we lose all of that play and that multidimensional and multi-directional work. And so for me, fitness is adult recess. And I love the approach to this program because I really feel like this program encompasses that aspect of getting back to play and getting back to moving in so many different directions and moving your body, not just in that sagittal plane where we're just walking down the road every single day and getting in and out of our car and walking upstairs. It really is a 360 holistic approach to fitness encompassed in one 4-week program. And so one of the many reasons why I think this program is really special. Amazing. So going off of that,
Yeah.
this is the second iteration.
Yeah.
If I am new, I just got my tonal, or maybe I missed out on Everyday Athlete 1. I was busy doing something else. With this second approach and the second installment of this program, what is your recommendation for somebody who's new to this franchise? Do you feel like they should start with level 1 and then go to the second one first, or vice versa? Do you feel like there's approach there when it comes to doing the second one versus the first?
One thing that I really love about the way we approach the programming was like, you can jump in now to 1 or 2. You can do them back to back. You can do them one before the other. There's obviously going to be a lot of moments in class when I reference Everyday Athlete 1. I'll bring it back to, do you remember day 4 when we did these hammer curls? Like, we're bringing them here instead. And you'll see some movements that are going to be repeat, but I also said, do you remember that one movement? It's gone. We're bringing this one in. So again, if you've never done Everyday Athlete, if you're brand new to Tonal, if you're like, I just want to join a challenge, this can absolutely be the challenge for you. I'll repeat things that Katie, you guys already know. Like, I'm going to talk about packing. I'm going to talk about like how to get the best out of our bench and our deadlifts. I'm going to talk about the body weight movements that we absolutely have to do, and we can't cry about it. And I'm going to stand on my soapbox and tell you to do hard things. And I hope that you always get those cues from me in class, because if maybe you missed it on day 1 because something was happening and you were just distracted, then I want you to get it in day 3 of Everyday Athlete 2. So it's nice to have consistency in cueing. So yeah, I say if you've never done 1, jump into 2 and then go back to 1 and be like, wow, okay, now I see what happened there.
Did you see my like Pavlov's dog like reaction when you said packing? I was like you said packing and my shoulder blades just went whoop.
Pinkies.
It's like the bell rang and I just like
I think day 1, I dive straight into it. So yeah, we have a lot of I'm just really excited about this one.
yeah, I do. I love the way that you explain that. It really is, it's not a follow up in the fact that this is a progression from volume 1, if you will. This is a second installment. We kept the bones and the foundational elements and the philosophies of Everyday Athlete 1, but we are applying them in completely new ways. So it really makes it easy for somebody to jump into Everyday Athlete 2 without having done the first volume first. So, again, if you are new to Tonal, if this is your first challenge, if this is your first time diving into getting an ash whooping, you absolutely can dive into this program and not be lost. So, all right, let's get into it. So, speaking of the fact that we are bringing new training principles and protocols to this version of Everyday Athlete, talk to me about the daily breakdown. What are those days going to be like? What have we brought for them? What are we serving up?
Yes. So in Everyday Athlete 1, you may remember things like giant or big kind of sets and circuits. You'll probably remember our infamous 4x4 that we completed. You'll remember our hit day. And then we did a bit of this like focus on arms and abs on day 4. So with Everyday Athlete 2, my big thing was I wanted to say, what is your goal? How can we get there in two different ways? And I really wanted to show you that there is a variety of ways that you can program to get the same results. And so I didn't want it to feel the same. I wanted it to feel like this, like fresh approach to everyday athlete. So let's dive in. We have 4 days. 2 of those days, and this is what I'm really excited about. We're going with, instead of big sets, we're going with supersets. And rather than opposing muscle groups, we're going to do an agonist super. Again, a lot of everyday athlete programming is like what I like to do. So, because I am you, I understand this too. So we're going to do this heavy light training approach, and we're going to do same muscle groups, same movement patterns. So you can expect low reps in some of your lifts. We're going to get like really heavy with some barbell work. We're going to get really heavy with some of our lifts because, as Katie and I like to say, always Leah, right, Rachel, we want to take up some major space. And then we're going to decrease that resistance, increase the reps, and we're going to go to this like light burnout feel, because there is nothing better than after a heavy lift having this like, I can't do one more rep of even this lighter resistance. And we're going to alternate those. We're going to have more blocks. We're going to go from upper body to lower body. And like Jenna was saying earlier, we are crazy strategic in this program about from day 1 to day 2. You may be doing similar things, but there's a reason for it. So please know there's a method behind the madness. So that's day 1 and day 3. So we are not doing any jumping. We are not doing any body weight work. We are on tonal for 4 blocks. Like, just let's lift. I really hope you guys love it because I'm obsessed with it. And I'm scared to do it again, but I can't wait to do it again. Now, day 2 is where Jen and I really were like, let's have some fun. Because listen, HIIT training, no one really loves. I mean, some people absolutely love it, but I also want this to be a challenge for people who are like, let's say, doing 12 weeks to jacked. I only do build muscle. You need to train slightly like different at some point in your training. And that's where the HIIT day came. And the biggest thing was, let's have recess. Let's do one move. And then let's be like, okay, can we do another one? And then we're going to add another move. And then we're like, okay, what about another one? And then we're going to do one more move with those. And we're going to do this really giant add-on set. It's really fun, in major air quotes. And then with that HIIT day, I decided to bring this like focus, obviously, on badass abs. So just know that on day 2, which comes directly after day 1. So day 1, we work out. Day 2, we work out. Then you'll have a rest day. And then on day 3, you'll have that superset again. Now, day 4, the big thing that Jenna and I talked about were you show up for day 4 of the week and you're like, I'm toast. You've accumulated so much fatigue. You've lifted so much weight. We've done a HIIT day. There's just been a lot going on. So we approached it with like the first 2 blocks. We're going to do this. We're going to use functional movement in the sense of like as an active recovery. So we're going to work on getting a little bit of range in the joints, focusing on the movement pattern, like getting a little specific in the science side of things. Because, sometimes you just need to like do one thing and then you're like, okay, I feel better. I can go now. And that's really where day 4 is going to say, okay, block 1, block 2, let's do some nice, comfy movement. Let's get going. But then also it's the end of the week. And, remember that 4x4 that we had in Everyday Athlete 1? We're bringing it back, but a little bit different. And, Jenna decided to name this the metabolic meltdown. And I was like, girl, we are the same human because yes. So we're going to finish each week with like a big old bang. But the way that we did the breakdown is, again, you're working for 2 days. You're going to rest for a day. You're going to work again. Then you're going to rest. So we never have 2 rest days back to back, because I also know that some of you are like, I don't need 2 rest days. Like I want 1, but I don't need 2, because I do the same thing. So that's kind of how those are going to be breaking down.
I love it. And so again, just to recap that, we've got our 2 strength days. And again, instead of using German body comp training, which we saw in Everyday Athlete 1, where you had these giant sets, we've done those agonist supersets, again, working the same muscle group back to back. And I love that approach. It's one of my favorite ways to train. It really allows us to get closer to fatigue, get closer to failure with that muscle group, and really focus on strength and hypertrophy kind of in the same block. And so it's just a great, efficient way day of training that allows us to get multiple types of gains. So gains aren't only, building muscle mass, but it's also getting stronger in that movement pattern in that muscle group as well. So getting bang for your buck, which I am always here for more bang for your buck whenever you're working out. So one of those are my favorite training days. And we've dropped some kind of what I call everyday athlete Easter eggs in there every day and in those strength days. And we can talk about them a little bit more, but some really cool things that we've made sure to pepper into this program that you'll see pop back up. So again, we've maintained the intentionality of everyday athlete one while switching up these training protocols. And that, yeah, the add-on day is us playing. That's us having fun. That's a really, really fun day. And then I love how you explained the fourth day is comfy, because again, like, you need a little recovery. And sometimes by that fourth day, you need a little bit more of a runway before your body feels like, hey, okay, I'm ready to dive into some hard work. I need to gradually build up my mobility and I need to gradually build up my body temperature. I got to work out the kinks that I've built up maybe over the training week and really prep my body efficiently before I can jump into some heavy metabolic work, which I remember when you were testing these workouts and filming these, you were like, God, that felt so great to have that in that workout. And it just was really like chef's kiss on the week. So amazing. We're so excited for you guys to feel what we've experienced so far. So all right, so we've talked about the days and we've broken it down. I saw one question about, is this considered, Allison, is this considered more of intensification or accumulation program? So, gosh, we don't have enough time to go into all of that, but I will just say this: not every single intensification and accumulation are a specific type of periodization or approach to programming, called block periodization. It's just a type of a way that we can program. Not every single type of programming falls into one of those two buckets. That's a kind of very specific type of training where we kind of undulate between more strength work and heavy lifts and high volume hypertrophy work. So because this program mixes modalities and mixes training approaches within even the same superset, we couldn't classify it as one or the other, because you are going to get heavy work, you are going to get high volume work, so you're getting a little bit of everything. So it honestly isn't either of those things, just because of the way that it's programmed across the week. So hopefully that explains it, but not everything always falls into one of those two buckets. That is a method of training, and it's just not the method that we used for this program. So Ash, talk to us about the weeks. So we've basically laid out week one for them and explained the 4 different days and the different training approaches and how we've applied them strategically throughout the week. But now what happens after I finish week one? How does it progress for the 4 weeks?
So anytime we go into programming, one of the big things as coaches that we'll always say is like, get comfortable with doing the basics and doing them over and over and over and over and over and doing them the exact same way. But I also understand that for some of us, we're like, but we like something a little different. Like, what can we change? And programming does need to be very methodical. You don't want it to be random, because we've always said random programming, random results. So what Jen and I did was really try to come at it with this approach of let's do, and you'll hear me say this so much. It's kind of, to be honest, it ended up being the tagline for the program, but same, but different is kind of the idea. So between week 1 and week 2, you're going to see the same movements. You're going to see the same concepts, the same blocks, but some of the things that we'll do differently is we may reorganize those blocks. So think about, like, you may have a big lift in week 1 that you show up fresh, the tank is full, you get the lift done, you're like, wow, that was great. What if we did that lift at the end of the workout in week 2? So you're still getting the exact same movements, you're still getting the same workout, we're doing it in a different way, and your body's going to feel that differently. So again, we don't want it to feel like it's random. We really wanted to come at it from like, let's keep us on our toes. And that's the idea of everyday athlete. Let's stay on our toes and let's train like athletes and just be ready for anything that comes at us, even if it is the same, but a little bit different. Now, I've always said the worst thing you can do is in training is do too much too soon. So we were very specific about how much we're going to increase in our volume. So we're maybe in week 1, you'll have 3 sets of a certain block. In week 2, you might have 2 sets of that same block, but another block down the line is going to switch to 3. So again, we're really going to change things up with how much we're prescribing. And then just when you get done with week 2 and you're like, I've got it, I understand how it felt. I know the movements. I know where Ash is coming from. I know what to expect. I'm going to be like, psych, you don't know what to expect. We're going to change up some of those movements in week 3, which is exactly what we did in Everyday Athlete 1. So then you'll kind of have this fresh, a few things will change, not a ton, but a few things will change. And you'll have a bit of a fresh take on some of your blocks and some of your training. But those those classes, you'll notice on the calendar will get a little bit longer. So as we do add a few more sets or add a little bit more volume, you'll start to really feel the difference in just 6 or 7 minutes.
You sure will. You absolutely will. Yeah, you said it, and it's never random. Random programming gives you random results, and it may feel different, and it may feel like we've changed things, but it is never randomly applied. It's varied. It's not random, and so we really can hold ourselves to the fact that like we might see something slightly different. It might look ever so slightly different. We just dressed it up differently. It's really still the same training protocols and principles, but done in a slightly different way. And I love reordering in particular exercises and blocks is one of my favorite ways of doing that because again you can take a workout and flip it on its head and what you did at the end you now do at the beginning and it feels like it's completely different just based on accumulated fatigue throughout the workout and it's just a great way of making sure that you get the best out of every movement. So instead of always putting hammer curls at the end where you're like, oh, my grip's fatigued, maybe I can't do as much as I would like, hey, let's put hammer curls at the top this time. Let's give your body an opportunity to do that move while your grip is fresh and before you fatigued out your biceps by doing chin-ups and maybe some other moves and allowing your body to adapt to it in a different way just because of where we placed it in the workout. So some really cool ways and yeah that people will see some progress throughout the 4 weeks without having to always do something new and different, which is awesome. So we've talked about the programming, and I'm sure we could sit here and go down programming rabbit holes of like our favorite moments and our favorite days and all of that forever. But let's get into talking about the challenge in particular. So the program's coming out, we said on April 4th, if you weren't here in the beginning when we talked about that. And in addition to the program launching, which everybody is super excited about, we're doing this challenge with it. So for somebody that is, new to Tonal, or maybe this is their first challenge, talk to us a little bit about what a challenge entails. What's the extra bonus that comes with participating in a group challenge versus just doing the program on their own? And then a little bit about what you've planned for this challenge.
So if you have joined a challenge, you all kind of know the concept, but I think they also vary from coach to coach, which should and does feel really nice because we each have our different levels of focus that we can like bring ourselves into the challenge. So specifically with me, y'all know I love to like really break down the movement patterns and mostly just unlock the programming for you. So let's say you're a beginner that's just trying out an intermediate program, or you're Suze who's coming off of a shoulder injury and she's like, Ash, how do I modify this? Or let's say you're someone who's like, hey, I usually do, let's say, just build muscle program. I'm coming into this get lean. Like I really need the motivation of the crew around me to show up. Like that's what you can kind of always expect from the challenge is this team is going to show up for you and then you're going to show up for them. And it's going to be this really great, just like feel good moment, like throughout an entire month, every single day, you're going to have those moments. So for me specifically, and for this program specifically, it's really a chance for us as coaches to get to have one-on-one a bit with you guys more than we usually do. So our challenge group is kind of taken out of the main OTC. We're put into this cute little group where we just get to love on each other for an entire month. But it also creates hopefully what feels like a safer space or just a little bit more of an approachable space. So I want you guys to know that you can ask me about movements. You can say, am I doing this right? Can you break this down? So if there's movements that you need help understanding, or if something just doesn't feel right, I will film a 3-minute video and drop it in our challenge group so that you can watch it. During our lives, I want to make sure that we talk about anything that you guys need to. So y'all know I like put my camera on the other side of the room. I'll go to my tonal and I'm like, let's break this down. Let's do this together and let's talk about it. Because I really want to make sure that you guys are getting the most out of this. And I'm sure Julia will say this, like any of the team that's done it in the past, like you're always going to take little nuggets with you, and you should feel so much more capable after you leave this challenge. But I also want to bring some fun in. So, maybe, just maybe, we can do some workouts together, and we can do them on Zoom together. And maybe we can talk one of our favorite yoga instructors into doing a class with us rather than us doing it on our tonal. Maybe I'll drop a bunch of mocktail recipes because we're trying to cut back on the alcohol before the summer. Or maybe I'll drop some recipes of some of my favorite things that I like to make as meal prep for the week, because we want to make our lives a little bit easier. So I want it to be fun. I always want it to feel like a space that you can ask questions, make new friends, and maybe in the next tonal training lab, this team meets up because you guys met in the April challenge. So that's kind of what you can expect from people.
I love it. And, it kind of, again, if you got to come out to the tonal training lab, then you got to experience our coaches in real life, and it was just such a special opportunity. But these challenges are that next best thing. If we're not together in real life and you're not able to go out to Ash after a class and be like, "Hey, Ash, I'm doing this program and this thing's kind of funky, and what do you think about that?" This type of a challenge is the next best thing to having that access to them, because she's in there with you. She's able to answer your questions, and really give you that attention and that one-on-one. And then also, of course, Leah coined our term, the Lurkers Club. If you are not doing everyday athlete at this moment in time, maybe you're starting it in the middle of April, maybe you're starting it in May, maybe you're starting it at a different time, but you still want to get Ash's recipes, because now I'm like, ooh, mocktail recipes, like I'm in. Ash's recipes, maybe some workouts. Like, there's so much value in everything that they're going to provide to you, in these challenges. It doesn't necessarily have to go back to you doing everyday athlete. It's just great knowledge from our tonal coaches and experts that they are. So it's an opportunity for you to join in and get some extra knowledge that you can apply to any training that you do at any time. So by all means, if you're not doing the challenge necessarily at this time, you're still welcome into the challenge group to get all of the benefits, of that extra attention. And yeah, that's one of the many benefits, as you kind of maybe teased out, is the supplemental workouts, is the challenge calendar that does come with doing this. So Ash has curated extra supplemental, optional, extra credit workouts, if you will. And some of those workouts that you selected were yoga with our coach, Shelby. Is there a specific reason where maybe you felt like that was a really good complement to this program, or where you placed it in the week? Why are you feeling like that's a really important aspect of this program?
Yeah. So again, I always approach things from the lens of trying to understand who's on the other side of the workout and who is showing up to this calendar. And I know a lot of you think that 4 days isn't enough, and you would actually like to continue to work out on day 5 and day 6. And I hear you loud and clear. So one of the things I wanted to do was in the middle of the week, if you're someone who does like to keep moving and you're not necessarily wanting to feel like it's a day off or a stretch day or a recovery day, what I did was I added one of Shelby's yoga classes, because as we know, like it can be a form of active recovery. It can be a form of stretching. If you've taken her lymphatic class, which I added in there, it's been out a while, but I absolutely love it. And just a really nice way to move without like taxing. We work different ends of our body, in the sense of like our brain can work differently. Like we're not working really fast, but we can still work it and slow it down and focus on our breathing and actually help our body recover. So if you're someone who wanted to do a bit more movement on that rest day, even though you should be resting, it is a great way to have some active recovery. So please know the supplemental workouts are very much supplemental. If you feel like you have that in the tank, if you feel like you have that effort to give, please by all means do it. But if you're like, man, I really should rest, but I don't want to miss out, please rest. Please miss out. Please have all the FOMO and then come back and do that class a little bit later at some point on another day. I just wanted to make sure that I gave you guys options. And then as always, trying to add in some just those feel good mobility classes. I know Tanisha's in there, Tim is in there, Casey's in there. So there's so many. You guys can choose if that class doesn't work for you, or if you have one that you're just obsessed with, i.e. juice your joints, you're welcome to do that one
Oh,
instead. So
obsessed with that one.
please know that I just gave you options. If you're someone who's like, tell me what to do, I don't want to think about it, they're there in case you would like them. Just as a reminder for the supplemental workouts, those are not added to your calendar. I know most of you know this, but if you're new to a challenge, if you join Everyday Athlete 2, it populates on your calendar on your Tonal, but the supplemental workouts, you will have to go search for them. So you can go to workouts and actually search and then add those to your calendar.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Like you can search for them and do them, but you can search for them ahead of time, add them to your schedule and program them so that they do populate when you log on that day. So a good tip there, a good hack. Amazing. So again, I love that you added in some yoga supplemental for those people that are looking for an extra day. Again, I think that just speaks to like the overall point of this program and how we want to move multidirectionally and move our bodies in a variety of ways and how that's just so good for your training overall. And so yoga is just another great way to balance out your body in that way. So speaking of balancing the program and balancing your training, for our athletes out there, so if somebody is running, cycling, playing a team sport, even just they've got their rec pickleball league on the weekend, how would you program those activities in addition to their workouts?
Yeah. So I actually saw Marla, I had your question. I had it bookmarked at the end for our Q&A, but one of the things that Marla asked was, how can I add running into this? I know we have some cyclists out there, or you're right, like some avid pickleballers that are still wanting to hit the court. I will say, and I'll always say, that you have to manage your effort levels and your recovery levels. And if you're doing too much, it could be too much. This program, I will not say is an in-season program. I think that's a safe thing to say, right, Jenna?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily say that you should be doing this. Like Megan Wheeler just finished her marathon in Los Angeles. Like, I wouldn't have recommended that she have done Everyday Athlete 2 in the midst of running 20 miles for her marathon. So if you're someone who's in a pretty specific training block, maybe you are the lurker in April challenge. And maybe you're joining the yoga classes and the mobility classes with us and you're getting the recipes, but maybe you're not doing the full challenge. With that said, the way that this is broken down, you're only going to have individual rest days. So you won't have those two. And sometimes having those two back to back gives you a specific day that you can add a long run, a long ride, or if you have a specific training day that you want to get in, sometimes you can have those on those two recovery days because you have a bigger rest. Having a specific rest day, just one, creates a bit more of a challenge when you want to start adding in your runs. I will always recommend you do additional cardio on days that you're lifting, if possible, if you're looking to do 2 days. So on day 1 and day 3, which are going to be our main lift days. So we're going to focus more on strength. That's the agonist supersets. You can do those cardio days if you want to add them. You could do it later in the day or just after. So it might make your workouts a bit longer, but if you do want to get a run in, it's nice to train after you lift because it also helps your body prepare to work in a fatigue state, which we'll talk about in the program as well. Just know that after you do your strength days, we do have some pretty gnarly hit days.
Yes.
So we are going to be working some lower body, some isometric holds. We are going to be really challenging ourselves in the sense of very minimal rest, working for time, trying to get as much effort in as we can in that time period. So I would just say be cautious. Week 1 is always a great time to maybe pause on your extra runs or extra cardio, test out week 1, see how it feels. And then when you're done with week 1, you have to actually ask yourself, where do I feel like I had enough to give just a little bit more? And then you maybe plug those runs and those rides in.
I love that. I think, when it comes to, because we get asked this question all the time, is like, maybe I'm a beginner and I want to try out this program, but I'm not really sure. I feel like the same thing could apply if you are, kind of multi-sport right now, right? You're training for an event, but you're also trying to do everyday athlete too. Just because we say 4 days a week and 4 days are strength workouts or programmed workouts, and then 3 days are rest periods or maybe the supplemental, doesn't mean it has to be always that way with 7 days a week. You can add in an extra rest day to a week. If you can't do workout one and workout two on back-to-back days, whether that's just because maybe you're newer, or maybe this is a bigger jump in volume for you than what you were used to, or you're doing outside activities such as running, cycling, preparing for a race of some kind, certainly add in an extra rest day and make the schedule work. So again, to Ash's point, like try to double up if that's something that you're trying to do at this time, or go ahead and add in those extra rest days, stretch out the 4 days over 8 or 9 days versus trying to fit it all in 7 days. And that's totally fine too. So I always say, like, especially when it comes to like 4 week fast tracks, we always say 4 week fast track. But like if it takes you 5 weeks or 6 weeks to do the program, that is absolutely okay. So if you don't finish this program in 4 weeks because you're peppering in your other training, totally fine. We always say, make the workout and the program work for you and not the other way around. So try not to make it too rigid on yourself if you have other things going on or life pops up, right? As life does, Ash, life sometimes. So let's talk about that. There are times where we are, somebody is training for something, Megan just finished that marathon and needs a hefty recovery period and probably is taking a break from training in general. And then also life happens. Sometimes for whatever reason, you're traveling for work, you go on a vacation, you get injured and it disrupts the flow. What is the best way? Because we get asked this question all the time. What is the best way if life happens and interrupts my training schedule? What's the best way, to get back on track if I miss a workout or two or three or a whole week?
It's pretty simple. I think this is actually the easiest question to answer, and that's just jump right back in. And if I haven't talked about that recovery button on a movement or a workout 900 times in a program or on a live, then I haven't done my job. I think it's actually one of the best things that we've designed on Tonal was being able to say, listen, I missed a few days, or I'm coming back from, I don't want to say an injury, but maybe just like a little setback in how you were feeling. You tweaked something and needed a few extra days. You can just get back in. And the nice thing about this program is even if, let's say, you're in the midst of week 2 or 3, right, where we're changing up volume, we're changing up movement, you can still absolutely jump in. You don't have to go back to the beginning. The one thing to remember is that when you do have a setback, it takes up quite a bit of time to actually lose the progress that you've gained. And so, if we're talking about being completely sedentary for, weeks plus, then maybe we think about doing a few additional classes that are not a part of the program, actually, right? You can do a few quick fits. You can do some lower body, some upper body, and then just kind of get your body moving with those movement patterns again, and then jump back into the program. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a program and I'll get to Tonal and it's been a few days because something came up and I was like, I'm just not ready for that workout, but I want to work. And there is no shame. I will always say there is no shame in doing your own game. Like, go find a quick fit that you love, do a recovery you love, do something. Use active recovery or the recovery mode on one move, not the whole workout, or on the whole workout.
Yeah.
Just the best way to keep going is to go, and that go can be whatever you need it to be, always.
I love that. And I agree. I think recovery mode is one of the best features
I
that
used
we
it today, this morning. I finished strength by intensity this morning, and I was like, I don't care if it's the last workout of the program. I am not doing 4 deadlifts at that weight. I just can't do it today.
Yeah.
And it was okay, but I feel so much better because I got the workout done. And that's always going to outweigh how much weight is on the other side.
1,000%. And again, I always say to people when I'm describing recovery mode, like it's a safe space, it's a safe zone. So like I know a lot of times when we're in full weight, we're maybe, hesitant about adjusting the weight, adding weight, turning weight down because it might impact our future suggested weights. And recovery mode or recovery weights is such a safe space because you can adjust. If recovery weight still feels heavy on that move, turn it down. If it doesn't feel heavy enough, you wanted to take a little bit off the top, but maybe not quite that much, bump it up a few. Nothing you do in recovery mode impacts your future weight. So it's kind of this play space, talking a lot about play tonight, where you can really just have autonomy over what weights you're using that day for the exercises and not worry about it impacting any future workouts of yours. So such a great tip, a great hack, and for sure, just a mode that I use frequently for sure. All right. Whoa, look at the Q&A coming in hot. So we're going to tackle some questions now. We've really kind of talked about the bones of the program and we've talked about the amazing benefits of a challenge. We definitely want to have time for Q&A here. So I think some of these we've hit, but I'm going to make sure that we go through them. So Ash, Cynthia wants to know, she has been away from Tonal. We kind of just talked a little bit about this, but for 15 months. And she feels like maybe she should be doing beginner classes that are recommended. Is that your suggestion for where she's at right now? Or how could you, help her kind of gradually get back onto Tonal after being gone for a prolonged period?
Welcome back, my love. This is the perfect safe space to be. And again, like we have such great members and honestly not even members. We have such great friends in the community that will always give you recommendations that they've used in the past. And, some of our members that are currently taking breaks or planning for when they're coming back. It will always be do what's best for you. Now, there's a few things you can do. Number one, April 7th is still like a little ways away. So, it's a great time to jump into maybe a 2-week program. There's a few, if you go onto your Tonal and go to workouts or go to programs, you can filter by how long they are. You can actually jump into a 2-week program. You can do that on recovery mode. If you aren't necessarily sure if the weight that you were lifting 15 months ago is still the weight that you should be. And you can actively use that weight dial to hit negative on the workouts that might feel a little bit too heavy to help Tonal get to know where you are now, which is really important. And yeah, I think that's kind of the first thing to do is maybe get back in. Let's maybe do a few beginner workouts, maybe a 2-week program. Maybe you jump into actually Casey's deload program is really good too, because it's like this active recovery. So yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. And then when you're done with those 2 weeks, on April 4th, the program is going to drop on your Tonal and you'll be able to like go in with a magnifying glass and be like, day 1, swipe, day 2, swipe, day 3. And you can actually look at all the workouts. And then I think at that point you can kind of decide, okay, I think I can do this. And again, even if you jump into week 1, and even if you use that weight dial and you turn the weight down, but do the movements,
Yeah.
and if you do active recovery on something, like whatever that is, it's a really great program to like learn as much as you can. And I'll always say the best thing about these programs, your best friend is going to be the pause button. So if
Yep.
you have days where you're like, what did she say? Reverse. I want to listen to that again. If you need an extra amount of time to rest, hit pause. And if it's just not something that ends up working for you, that is a-okay. Let's jump into a beginner program. And then guess what? We'll still be here whenever
Yeah.
you want to come back. So
Great advice.
be
And
a lurker. You could be a lurker.
you can be a lurker.
I'm all about this now.
Be in the lurkers club. It's a great place. It's a great club. There's a lot of us. Yeah, Cynthia, I echo everything Ash said there. From a performance aspect, I would say like my biggest thing for you is volume. Ash made this comment earlier. It's not what you're doing, it's how much you're doing too much too soon. And that would be my biggest concern after a prolonged period of time off after 15 months. It's gradually building up the tolerance to that volume. These workouts, as Ash mentioned, are about 40 to 50 minutes long. We have 4 blocks on our strength days. The add-on workout, you'll see you're going to do that one move at the top of the block for many sets by the time we finish the add-on protocol. So those are the type of scenarios where you're like, okay, can I handle this much volume at this moment in time? So her advice of like trying out a beginner program right now, using recovery weights, pausing, those are all great ways to slowly build back up to the amount of volume that you will see in everyday athlete too. And again, I'm also all for like, I know we see that stat at the end of like movement percentage completion. If you get halfway through the workout and you've got to say that's good for me today, that's totally fine. That's great. You did it. You build yourself up over the 4 weeks to completing a full workout. That is progress. So don't be afraid to call it when you need to call it in a day. But I'll tell you, like these workouts are a great place to be. If you could only do half of the add-on workout, because there are two add-on blocks and they are both gnarly. If you just do the first one on week one, that's a win. That's huge. So don't be afraid to listen to your body and call it when you need to at any point in any workout. All right, so Suze, we've talked about Suze's shoulder. She wants to know if this is a good one for her to start lifting with her shoulder again, or how should she approach maybe returning from injury?
I really love to use movement as an outlet to accessibility. So Jen and I are the same way on this one. We love to use movement that kind of prepares the tissue in the joint to be able to do the lifts. So I'll give you an example. So we're going to have a block where we do chin-ups, right? So you're going to get into kind of these overhead extension, but we're using stretching to get the muscle. We're using
Yeah.
lifting to get the muscle stretched. So to get that arm overhead, we'll pair that, remember that agonist superset with like a barbell straight arm march. Now, the first 2 weeks, and I'm very forward about this, I'm like the first 2 weeks, like this is preparation essentially, because in the last 2 weeks, that barbell straight arm march becomes a barbell straight arm pull down. And we really want to use your lifts and we want to use what we're doing in the programming to prepare you for something down the line. Now, obviously, everybody's injuries are very specific, and the protocols that you and your doctor or your physical therapist have set in place are very specific. But April 4th, the workout is going to drop, and you're going to see
Yeah.
every single movement that's in this. And that's the great time to go through and say, this movement doesn't work for me. I want you to look through the library on the recommended replacements if something doesn't work for you. And if you're like, I'm not exactly sure what I should do, chat group, April challenge. Hey, Ash, this movement doesn't work for me. What can I do instead? And I'd be happy to give some replacements if that's the case. But the biggest thing is just to ask yourself if you're ready, Suze. We always want you to be. We always know you're going to crush it. Like you're always going to crush it. We know you will. So just make sure that you feel ready, and we'll be ready when you're ready.
I love that. And yes, movement replacements, such a great tool. But again, if you're not sure which one of that list, hey,
That's the
that's what this
challenge.
challenge is for. And Sue's also, if you haven't checked out Casey's Resilient Fitness beginner program that she just dropped, that would be another great one to do between now and the start of this program. Because one of the things that she really does address in that program is, in fact, shoulders. She focuses on shoulders and backs and knees in particular. So you might be able to take some really good nuggets from her in that program and apply them into everyday athlete too when you start that as well. So make sure you check out Casey's program that just dropped last month on that one. All right, John Ryan Martino, we know you. And Ash, did I not say I knew a lot? This was going to be a question tonight. All right, so yes, a lot of you are doing 12 weeks to Jacked right now, and some of you are doing, again, more of a split program or instead of a full body program, you're doing a body part split. So I have to read the question because I just love how it's phrased. But is it okay to do a full body program after a 12-week split, or will I fall over and die? Well, no, you've made it through many TTL workouts, and you didn't fall over and die there, so you definitely won't here. But Ash, talk to us about transitioning from something like a 12 weeks to Jacked program, a build muscle program, a body part split program, into everyday athlete too. How would that work? How would you recommend they transition? What would that feel like and look like?
Yes. So first off, congratulations for committing to that program, because my brother's doing it right now. Like we have so many friends that are doing it right now.
My
And
husband's doing it. I love watching him getting his butt kicked. It's great.
Yeah, it's like I'm like, oh, sorry, you have leg day. Love that one. Listen, the nice thing about this is it's totally different. And at some point in your training, you need different. To give you an idea, right? And this is really specific. My brother is doing 12 weeks to Jacked right now. And yet he has 3 kids and they decided to go camping. And all of a sudden they are doing all these water sports. They're doing all these activities. He's running around with them. They're climbing up mountains. They're coming down mountains. Like they're doing all of these things that he's like, wow, like, I don't know if
That was hard.
I don't know if I'm ready for those things. And as human bodies, we need to make sure that we are moving in different planes. And Jen and I really wanted to lean into this is, let's just build some resilient bodies. And I always say like muscle is so important for so many reasons. But the one thing, and there's always a but, the one thing I always say, like, it is great to have a lot of muscle, but if you don't know how to function with it, then it's no good, right? If that makes sense. So we want the muscle for so many reasons, but being metabolically challenged is really important. So making sure that we are once a week completely gassed, sucking air, out of breath, like, please stop this workout. I don't want to do another timed set. We have to do it. We just have to. And you have to do the hard things. Sorry, got to do them. So listen, coming off of a 12-week program, if you want to, obviously we'll always say that a deload feels nice, but I don't necessarily think that you have to do a deload coming off. I think Jenna mentioned this before, but the way that Joe ends 12 weeks to Jacked is a bit of a power build. Is that right? Is that he kind
It's a performance-based couple of weeks. It's
of
intensification. It's similar to that kind of power build field for
yeah,
sure.
so it kind of prepares you a little bit for jumping
For
into
sure.
the everyday athlete. So I would say, listen, it's always great to go from a build muscle and do a get lean because again, you're going to change up the stimulus and how you're lifting. If you have all that muscle, Jen and I really wanted to make sure that we kept this element of like, let's keep the muscle. I know everyone's terrified of losing the muscle that they've built. We're not going to do that in everyday athlete. We're not going from 12 weeks to Jack to 12 and a half weeks of marathon training, right? We're just going to do 4 weeks of a bit more performance. So this is a great way to just change planes of motion. Again, metabolic responses. We're trying to get that heart rate up. And then just, adding some isometric holds, adding a bit more core, and then maybe changing the range of motion that you're using. You might feel really good and mobile when you get done, and then you can go back to building muscle again.
Absolutely. It is so great. So again, you guys if you are in 12 weeks to Jacked and you're finishing that up and thinking about what's next, this would be a great transition. You've spent 12 weeks building muscle. It's time to cut. It's time to cut. And this program is a great way to do that. So if you really want to see those gains, you want to do a little shredding after building that muscle, this would be a great program. As Ash mentioned, the way that 12 weeks to Jacked finishes, the last 2 weeks, that last intensification performance phase really does prepare you well for moving into everyday athlete. So I think it's a great way to switch up your training and do a little full body. Yes, there are legs in this program, Jeff. Sorry.
There is a bit more focus on upper body.
There is. There is a good amount of it. I will say. I will say. And yes, for sure, my husband and I were taking my son out and we were like just walking up a hill and he was like, why was that so hard? So, why is walking up a hill so hard? But yes, I love how you said, like, we've got to challenge the heart in addition to the muscles, and we've got to build that work capacity, and we've got to get that heart rate up and keep that heart health along with keeping our muscles strong. So important to maintain that balance, and we can do it in a little bit of time. We can do it with one day a hit and a little metabolic meltdown. We can get our hearts pumping and build it. All right, so we're at time. Hopefully we got to your questions or close to your questions. If we didn't answer your question, I'm sure we can follow back up in the challenge group. Again, just wrapping up this evening, Ash, it's been so great chatting with you, all things Everyday Athlete 2. The program drops on April 4th, so get ready. Wait till you see. Oh, if you have not seen, no, you haven't. I have seen the teaser video that's about to drop shortly. So good. If you're not pumped for this program after tonight's talk, you absolutely will be after you see that little sizzle video that we'll be dropping soon. And then this challenge will kick off with Coach Ash on April 7th. So get ready.
Yep,
Ash whooping is coming your way. All
many of
right,
them.
Ashleets, get in
That's
line.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your evening.